This is Living Well Women, holistic living for sisters over 40. Happiness is holistic. It's multifaceted. It's physical. It's internal. It's my diet and my emotional state. It's all tied in together. Michelle Obama. This is a show for sisters, about sisters, by me and my sisters, Dr. Dravon James and Keisha Dixon. I am Lynnis woods-mullins, and we are Women Living Well.
Welcome to Living Well Women. Take a few moments, ladies, to share your screens, like, and comment, because we are ready to talk about sex.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Keisha. Hi, Dravon. It's great to see you guys.
Hi, let me know once you've shared the screen.
Okay, I'm getting ready to share right now.
You guys see it? I'm on Keisha's page.
Yeah, I'm on Keisha's page too.
Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. I see it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. Living Well Women. Take a few moments, ladies, to share your screen.
Okay, I'm getting ready to share right now.
You guys see it? I'm on Keisha's page.
Yeah, I'm on Keisha's page too.
Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. I see it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. Living Well Women. Take a few moments, ladies, to share your screen.
Okay, I'm getting ready to share right now.
You guys see it?
Yeah, I'm on Keisha's page too.
Do you see it?
Mm-hmm. I see it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Yvonne has shared. Welcome, friends. Welcome to Living Well Women, holistic living for sisters. I am so excited that you're here today because today we are going to be talking about sex when you're over 40. I'll spare you the lyrics of Let's Talk About Sex, Baby. I was practicing my power and decided I shouldn't do that. So instead, I am delighted to introduce you to my co-host. There is Lynnis Woods-Mullins. Lynnis Woods-Mullins is a holistic living and wellness expert for women over 40. She's author, executive producer, talk show host, and publicist. And she is going to be sharing with us her pearls of wisdom about sex over 40. And also my co-host, Dr. Dravon James, founder of Everyday Peace. Dr. Dravon James is an inspirational speaker, keynote speaker, and talk show host as well. And she also is going to be sharing her expertise on sex for women over 40. And I'm Keisha Dixon, the tapping queen, founder of A Well Experience and creator of Monetize Your Mind Success System and the Monetize Your Mind Inner Circle. So let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about
sex. That's right. You know,
I couldn't myself.
I was laughing the other day about, what is it about women and sex and our society in general and why we're so hung up about it, more so than any other country in the world. We have issues around sex. It's very, for instance, you always hear about Sweden and how open they are in terms about talking about sex, but there's other parts of the world also where they don't seem to have the same hang up that we do about sex, especially when it comes to talking about pleasure and sex. And another taboo subject that we all seem to have is talking about sex and women after 40 and what begins to happen after 40. I don't know about you guys, but I would say after about 45 or so, if I had a choice between having sex and, having a good night's sleep, I'd probably choose good night because that was right in the throes of raising my kids. They were all still at home. And I think at that age I had, teenagers and junior high schoolers. And even though they could do for themselves, you're just so exhausted in dealing with the dynamics of having these little mini me's running around the house that it just, I just didn't have the energy for it. Just didn't feel, Yeah.
I was reading an article in Psychology Today, and it said exactly that women in their 40s and men too, because they're so busy with their schedules, the children at a certain age, your career is at a certain point, and sleep generally wins out over sex. And I can remember when I was at that stage, I'd always read things to say, oh, schedule a date night. They try
Right.
to make it, so that it was on your schedule, on your to-do list, and you just kind of like check it off. And I kind of laughed at it at first. I thought, oh my gosh, that's not romantic. But as life goes on, you realize it's not necessarily that romantic, but it's necessary.
Yes, it is. I wanted to say from a health perspective, since I'm a holistic and living and wellness coach for women over 40, from a health perspective, having an orgasm is very important in terms of maintaining your hormonal balance. It's not the whole kit and caboodle, but it's an important part of maintaining your balance, especially during menopause. And I know during menopause, you definitely, your urges are maybe further apart or not as long. But I am going to share before we hang up some things that you can eat that can help you with increasing the blood flow so that you can have better orgasms, whether it's orgasm with your partner or, need I say, orgasms as a result of activities with yourself. Yes, I said it, masturbation.
Masturbation.
Okay.
So interesting because
no thunder. I haven't been struck dead yet. Okay, good.
So interesting that you both commented on, after 45, it gets a little exhausting thinking about sex, and it's the last thing on your to-do list. And I am all about breaking patterns. So a solution I have for anyone who's watching who finds that they're dragging at the end of the day, have sex in the morning. Jumpstart your day. Yeah, break that pattern. Make it number one on your to-do list or number two.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because according to a study done by Corporate Magazine, most people prefer, although they don't have time, but they prefer to have sex at 7:30 in the morning. It's better for them at 7:30 in the morning. So that goes right along with what you just got through saying.
Yeah. And it starts your day off. I agree with it. It starts your day off on a higher note. You're more relaxed and you feel more powerful in your day. So absolutely. You got more energy, definitely, right?
A lot more energy, especially as women, because as women, we're orgasmic creatures. We were built to receive, and we can have multiple orgasms. And it only energizes us rather than depleting us, and it sparks all kinds of creativity. Right?
Yes, pie. You can bake a pie at 7:30 in the morning, right? And then go to work and do a load of laundry.
It really does. It really is a mood enhancer. And for those people, who are been married a long time and trying to figure out how to, spice up their life to make it more exciting after 40, create new rituals, new kinds of things. Date night is great, but maybe what it is you do on date night, make it something that's a little different, something that you haven't done before. Create different shared experiences. When you have different shared experiences with your significant other, you're enjoying each other more. That dopamine, which is a feel-good chemical, begins to go throughout your bodies, and that feel-good chemical and recalling that shared experience really does help in the bedroom as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. One of during my marriage, one of the things that my second husband and I enjoyed doing was challenging ourselves to see how long we could maintain a kiss. And that's like a lost science of intimacy, right?
Oh, yes.
Long high schoolish kisses.
Yes.
You know what? That reminds me of something else too for women in particular. You know how in the mornings, and we're talking about morning, let's say you didn't do the morning dew at 7:30 a.m. because that may not be realistic for those of you that have to be at work by 8. That may not work for you. But one thing they were talking about as you're getting ready to leave, do not do drive-by kissing.
Oh, why bother?
You're in the hall, you're like, stop. And really kiss them, lay it on them. Really give them like a really long, passionate kiss, something that you can remember throughout the day.
And build your anticipation for what's to come behind that for the evening.
Yes.
It's all about building a mood and building anticipation when it comes to sex. And quite honestly, I'll be honest with you, I think that sex after 40 has the potential to be much better than sex prior to 40, when you're worried about 1,000 other things that after you go past the menopausal years, it's on and popping, right? Right? You know what I mean? You're freer. You can be. And I know that the body is going through a lot of changes, but we have to be willing to embrace that and evolve with it. Definitely, we have more body security than we did at 20, right?
Well, some of us do. I mean, and I think that's an important point. In order to be these orgasmic, intimate sexual creatures, we have to have that body security. It doesn't work any other way. We have to feel so comfortable in our skin that we can have these mind-blowing orgasms, because a mind-blowing orgasm isn't in your head, it's in your feels.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
And you got to own every inch of you too. I think if you're past 40, you got to consider yourself hot no matter what. You got to own it. You have to walk in it, own it. And it's got to be you. This is your season. No more pretending, no more trying to be somebody else. Own your sexuality, get in there, get what you want out of the experience. And I think it'll be a lot more pleasurable for the other person too.
That's true. You got to be honest with them. Stop lying about the fact that you came. Did you come? No, I didn't. Tell the truth, honey.
And if you didn't, why didn't you? We encourage the women to start taking some personal responsibility for our own orgasms.
Because a lot of times they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they might be doing the same thing they've done with everybody else because no one stops and tells them, you know what, that does not work for me, honey. I'm not rigged that way. You'd be surprised how many women, married women over 50, who have said either they've never had an orgasm or they've had a minimal experience with orgasm. That's really true. And that's why we need to talk more about it. There's no shame in your game. You'd be surprised how many women haven't. But that doesn't mean that you're not orgasmic, and it doesn't mean that you can't be multi-orgasmic. It just means that you need to work a little harder and figure out what works for you. And then once you figure that out, communicate that. Tell them.
I think that's key right there, communicating, because it doesn't mean you need to drop your partner. This is a way to build new relationship goals. We talked about doing other things outside of the bedroom and having different date night experiences, but it just means be free in communication. You're past 40, be secure in who you are and what you want, and be willing to try different things.
Yeah, not only being free in communication with your partner, but be free in communication with yourself.
Yes.
Touch yourself. Now, if you're a fundamentalist and you believe that masturbation is wrong, okay, I'm not going to try to change your beliefs.
Yeah.
Touch other parts of your body. See what excites you besides your vagina and besides your breasts. What else excites you? If you were to touch your hand lightly against the back of your hand, how does that feel for you? If you were to moan as you're just gently caressing yourself, how would that experience feel for you? There's so many different ways to experience your own sensuality. It doesn't have to mean masturbation, and it doesn't even have to mean intercourse. But
that's
right. Sensuality.
Right. I think that a lot of times that we confuse sex with sensuality. They don't necessarily have to go hand in hand. I know there's a lot of sex going on where there's no sensuality at all. Yeah. You can be a sensual person and not necessarily be sexual. There's a big difference. If you have a true sense of self in terms of your own sexuality and your sensuality, then the idea of attracting those mates, because I know there's women out there. I have many friends who are at a stage of life where they don't have a mate. You know, they're either got divorced or they died or they just, they're in between boyfriends or whatever. And they're thinking that because I'm over 60, so they're thinking that because they're over 60 or over 50, that they're not going to attract anyone. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. I have 2 other girlfriends, 3, who've just gotten married over in the last year or so, and they were all either in their very late 50s or early 60s, and they all just met the love of their life and got married, and their sex lives are great. Now, of course, as you get older, there's some things, from a physical perspective that we have to take into consideration. Sometimes men have problems achieving erections. Other times women have problems because they're not, they're dry, but there's things that you can do that can help with that. Lubricants, of course, are great, but there are also other things you can do with blood flow to help both the man and the woman. For instance, lifting weights. Lifting weights is a great way to get the blood circulating and also to help with blood flow to those other parts of the body. And do it together. Shared experience. Another thing is the food that you eat. Fatty foods are great for, and I'm not talking about potato chips. I'm talking about things like fish, sardines, avocado. I know people say oysters, and there's some truth to that. But any kind of good, something that can lower the bad cholesterol is very good to have a diet that's good at lowering the bad cholesterol, because that can help with blood flow when it comes to the sexual organs, both the men and the women's. And the other thing that you can do is eat chili, spicy foods.
Oh, wow.
Foods increases blood flow. And garlic also. I know from personal experience that garlic is very good when it comes to achieving erections. Not my erection, but my husband. But garlic helps. It just smells bad, but it helps.
Right. So what do? You put the garlic in the food?
In your food. The best way to cut down on the smell, because really it should be natural garlic. It shouldn't be the garlic oil. Just get the or garlic tablets. What you can do is you can roast your garlic. Roast it first, and you can put it in the oven, put some olive oil on it, roast it, and then take that roasted garlic and cook with it in your omelets, in your chili, in your stir-fried vegetables. I even use a little bit of roasted garlic in my brown rice, and it's not quite as pungent, and that odor doesn't stay as long, and it tastes really great, and it helps you to feel really great too.
Well, that's good. I'm reading a lot about coconut oil and the benefits of coconut oil on cholesterol. But when you talk about lowering I bet you coconut oil will be. You can use coconut.
Yes, anything that almonds, nuts, anything. Interesting nuts. Anything that helps to lower the cholesterol levels is going to increase your desire and your ability to perform and to feel comfortable. Feel like having sex. So if you have high cholesterol, that might be one of the reasons why you're just not getting any urges. Same thing with high blood pressure as well. If you're just unwell in your body, one of the reasons why you want to stay well is so that you can totally function as a human being. And part of functioning totally is also being able to have an active and fulfilling sex life. It's healthy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now, when we were talking about coconut oil, and that, in my mind, triggered lube. Is coconut oil something that you could use as a lubricant if you're into a natural, holistic lifestyle?
Yes, you could. I mean, there's nothing wrong with putting coconut oil in different parts. Yes, you could. It may not be as thick as some of the commercially processed, lube oil and stuff. One thing is that if you're using those kinds of moisturizers, just be careful and look at the labels and see how much added stuff is there in there. The scent and all that stuff. Sometimes that can be an irritant and ends up being a negative incentive to use it. So do your homework and find out what works best for you and try to go as naturally as possible. In terms of
one thing I think we didn't talk about too that occurs to me too is sexual experiences a lot too occurs in the mind first too, creating atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which may not, when we're in our 20s, you don't have time for atmosphere. Go, right? So at this stage, it's nice to create atmosphere, to have it be a full body experience, mind, body, and soul, just really to connect with somebody heightens the experience.
Mm-hmm. What would be your suggestion for if a woman over 40 has had a really long day and her husband hasn't been entirely a great person that day? And yet,
from an essential oil perspective, diffusing lavender and sweet orange throughout the whole house, and lavender soy candles in the bedroom, lavender bath salts in the bathtub. Create an atmosphere of romance. Candles everywhere, no harsh lights. Maybe a red wine is really good for you. Red wine more so I would suggest than white wines, because white wines lots of times have tannins in it that which are good for you. But a little bit of red wine, and here you go, some dark chocolate.
That's it.
The cocoa. Yes, the dark chocolate. Wow, where's my dark chocolate?
I know where my red wine is. I have to get some dark chocolate.
Yeah. Yes, to help relax, but it also helps. It works with the hormones and works with the blood flow in terms of just the blood rushing to the sexual organs is what helps you in terms of performance and gives you that tingly, aroused feeling. It can help with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times women put so much pressure on, what about the G-spot? Where's my G-spot? How do I find my G-spot? What would you say, ladies, to women who are concerned that they may not even have a G-spot?
You know, the reality is, I think that everybody does. You just have to figure out where it is. It's not the same place for everybody. That's why if you happen to be dating and, you meet someone and you get to that point, you need to have a discussion, because he's going to go ahead and give you the assembly line version of whatever he thinks is going to do it for you.
The assembly line version.
So you got to give him the owner's manual before he starts assembling you. Okay. So.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And when you said that, I instantaneously got a picture of my mind. That movie with Stella got her grooves back, and he took that ice and he ran down. But she said, "Oh no!" And I thought to myself, "Who is that?" But you got to let people know that this is what works for me. This does not work for me. Yeah, you got to.
And if you're not sure and you're not comfortable talking about that with your new significant other or guy that you're dating or whatever, maybe sometimes even your husband, although you should, but sometimes it does help to have that conversation with your girlfriends. Have a girls' night out. Have one of those pleasure parties where you're like purchasing whatever little things to spice up the bedroom, but also talk about it with your girlfriends. Get used to talking about sex. I don't think we talk about it enough. It feels so taboo to even say things about it, even with your girlfriends, especially for the over 50, over 60 crowd.
Oh my!
Go ahead, talk about it. I promise you, neither one of us have. I don't see any thunderbolts. Nothing's caved in on my ceiling here. I'm still alive. It's really okay to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's a must that we talk about it. I think that we really do need to have these discussions, especially in a safe forum, without judgment and condemnation and blame and all that stuff, to really talk about these things and get it out of the closet so we can get some new and fresh ideas about things and feel comfortable and know that, oh, you may not be the only person that's experiencing this. It's not so odd. And, we can where two or more minds are gathered, we have more creativity, more room for growth and development.
That's right. And a lot of times, as women, we're so conditioned in this scarcity mindset when it comes to sex. Like if we talk about sex with our man or our mate, with our other girlfriends, they might want some too. And that's like looking at the universe of there's not going to be enough for me.
Oh,
but I want to challenge that. I think we can talk about it amongst each other.
Yeah. There's something else I want to talk to in regards to sex, and I wanted to invite one of my friends who is a sexologist, but I couldn't get in touch with her, but we're going to have her on the show. As women of color, some of us may have had some traumatic experiences. Yeah. And I'm not just saying just women of color do. I'm not saying that, but some of us as women of color have. And sometimes it makes it even harder to talk about, sex in general. You've had some kind of traumatic experience. If you've had any trauma in regards to your sex life, or if you've had physical abuse where sex was involved or any of that, many women still, as you know, based upon the Me Too movement, they don't talk about it. But there is an empowerment that comes when you get to that point when you are ready to talk about it, whether it's with a friend, a colleague, a relative, or your therapist. At this age and stage of our lives, it's time to talk about it. It's time to get that off of your system so that you can have a fulfilling and safe, sexually safe life, in terms of being physically intimate with someone. I think sometimes women who have gone through a traumatic experience have problems with establishing intimacy. They might be having sex, but it's not intimate, because of unresolved issues that they just haven't talked about. Now they have sexologists, sex therapists, psychologists, psychotherapists, counselors, and of course there's friends also that you can talk to help you through that period and to help you get it out so that you can begin to heal. So I want to encourage any of you that if you've had that experience, if you've gone through any of that, midlife is the perfect time to begin to deal with those demons and to heal so that the rest of your life can be without that. You don't have that burden any longer. You've unpacked that, you've unloaded that baggage, and now you're really ready to have a complete full life that's thriving after 40, 50, and 60.
That's right.
I think that's important.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I agree with that. I think that's so important to let that go and let that breathe, put it out there.
Yes. And there's no shame. There's no shame in your game about things like that. In fact, it makes you stronger. it's empowering. And I just based upon an experience that a friend of mine had with that, something that happened to her in her teens that she finally was able to let go of when she was like 52 or 53. And she said it was like freeing. And she was like a different person when it came to her sex life with her husband once she was able to let that go. So it's something you might seriously want to consider.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we are almost out of time. Yeah. If I were to a one-to-one client, I would give a homework assignment. So I'm going to challenge you to some homework.
Okay.
To have sex or have sex. Where to do it tonight, do it tomorrow morning before 7:30.
All right. That's right. It's sex with your significant other, your husband, or maybe with yourself.
Maybe with
yourself. That's right. And I have one more tip. One more. You know that the whole idea that an apple a day keeps the doctor away?
Mm-hmm.
Well, an apple a day will keep other things going on as well. Studies have shown that apples are excellent when it comes to helping with arousal. If you eat an apple a day, absolutely. It's also good hormonally. It's also good for weight loss, but it's also good with helping you to feel aroused during the course of your day. So by the time you get back home, you're more interested in the idea of having sex. So 1 apple a day, that's my homework assignment for you. Eat an apple.
I want to encourage you all too to research something called maca, M-A-C-A. Maca powder is so good for just restoring the life-filling energy in women and restoring urges. So
wow. Okay.
If you're really finding that you're not feeling as stimulated as you once were, it's a natural current root, maca root. So really look into that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Very good.
Well,
fantastic. I will be doing maca.
I'm going to look up maca as well. We are Living Well Women, Holistic Living for Sisters. I'm Keisha Dixon, founder of A Well Experience and creator of the Monetize Your Mind Success System. And we were delighted, Dr. Dravon James of Everyday Peace, inspirational speaker and keynote speaker, and Lynnis Woods-Mullins, holistic wellness nutritionist and expert for women over 40. Executive producer, publisher, and talk show host, and a whole host of other things. We've been delighted to talk about sex with you. What are we talking about next week, ladies?
You know, Dravon, Keisha, what you guys got? What you got?
Well, you sent us an interesting text earlier this week. And
what did I send? I did send you a text. What was it? I did. I said, you guys, let's look at this. We should talk about it sometime. You're absolutely right. What did I send? I'm looking at
behind the Me Too movement.
Yes. We definitely.
I thought that was a very interesting topic.
Oh, the Me Too movement. Yes, it was written by the founder of the Me Too movement. We kind of hit on that a little bit, but let's talk about that. In particular, women of color and whether or not they're participating in the Me Too movement. If they're not, why not? And what it is we do need to be doing when it comes to talking about that. So we kind of hit on that a little bit, but yeah, we're talking about the Me Too movement when it comes to women of color next week on Living Well Women. Holistic Living
Eastern Standard Time, right here, Facebook Live, and check us out on our Instagram page.
YouTube.
That's right, YouTube. Living Well Women on YouTube. Subscribe so that if you miss the live show, you'll get notified when we upload it to YouTube. So there's no reason for you to miss us.
Not at all.
We love you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye. Have sex. Thank you for tuning in to Living Well Women. Join us next time when we will discuss other topics of holistic living. Nothing is off limits when it comes to sisters supporting sisters. Please subscribe to our YouTube page by clicking the link below so you can stay updated on all the details when it comes to being a holistic living well sister.